It is time to tune up the band and dream of Square Garden, for it is another episode of the Sweet Chinwag podcast. I am Sam, alongside Dan and Riordan, as we continue our journey through the wacky world of professional wrestling. Afternoon, chaps. How are you doing?
Are you proud of yourself?
I am very proud of myself.
I'm all right until this
We are
moment.
full of movie references this week, both on and off recording.
I'm glad someone last week managed to finally got, or someone on Twitter got our Mystery Science Theatre 3000 reference.
That's my boy Scotch. Love you.
Hey,
Massively
shout out to
Number one
you.
source.
So anyone
I hate
gets,
saying that,
but I've gone with a much more known reference in Rush Hour, so I'm hoping some people will clock onto that.
they will now that we've said it.
Yeah, that is true. That is very true. But how have you found wrestling this week then, chaps? It's been a week.
I mean, not like horrifically tiring, which is a good thing.
Yep.
It's always nice. I appreciate the fact that, you know, now we can have wrestling spaced out now that there's wrestling Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Yeah. I mean, it's very much. I mean, as a lot of other people have said that I speak to, have kind of said as well, is like it's kind of at a point where you just kind of have to cut your losses.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree on that one for sure.
Like I will be here and say, didn't watch Raw this week.
Agreed. I did as well. I didn't watch it.
I'll be here and say I didn't actually watch AEW until yesterday.
Well, it does only get broadcast here on Fridays, so you can get away with that one, Dan.
Yeah, I know.
There you go. No problem at all. Not a problem.
Same with Impact as well. I was just like, yeah, I'll just leave it till later. I think the only thing I watched live I guess technically live, because I started watching it halfway through, was NXT UK.
Same. Yeah, so we give you this podcast thanks to those lovely people over at SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcast fix, forever pending on that one. Also, as well, we are on Project Dits every Wednesday as well. So yeah, before we get on, I should say, with this week's episode, all about the world's most famous arena and the Mecca of all professional wrestling. Well, that's at least what WWE would like to tell you anyway. It is time to visit Dan to talk about more of what we just talked about in this week's wrestling news.
Dun 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 down.
Wrestling news.
All right, what you got?
I'm going for that BBC newsreader spot. I mean, let's start off with Raw. I mean, obviously, I was there and had to catch up with it. I don't know if everyone else has seen it this week, but running through those first two matches, starting off with Braun Strowman versus Mason T-Bar, then following Drew McIntyre and Braun Strowman versus Mason T-Bar. Very much, again, kind of nothing matches, really. I guess for Braun Strowman, it's to make him look strong.
You just got to make Braun look strong. It's a Roman Reigns all over again.
Oh, no.
Now, though, right, we have to get on to the next bit.
Oh, God.
And arguably, possibly unintentionally, the greatest moment to come out of Raw this week. It's John Morrison getting hit in the groin with a tomato.
Oh, yeah. A fantastic shot there.
Amazing throw by Damian Priest. There is a reason he is called the Archer.
He got some talk on that thing. And blam! Right in the Morrisons.
Like, it was incredibly stupid. It was an awful segment, but we did get to see Johnny fill in last name here, get hit
I guess you could
in the balls by a tomato.
Now the question is, does he call his balls the Nitros, the Morrisons, the Mundos, the Impacts, or the Retros?
I'm going to choose to believe it's the Mundos.
I'm going to say Nitros just for the nostalgia pop.
But I mean, basically, the essential point out of this, as other people have said, is Okay, so now how many times will this be referenced in the coming weeks?
Probably about several, because you know what they like. I mean, just with talk about another unintentionally funny moment was my hole, and they milked that for. Well, they're still milking my hole from now when you think about it.
Dude, but it's funny though because Nia Jax falls over all the time though now.
Yay! So oh gosh, are you going to tell me that John Morrison's new gimmick in WWE is just going to be him wearing a cup from now on?
Long-term booking.
God.
Moving on to the next segment as we... See, again, I know I'm here and it's horrible to kind of continually rag on things. And I guess in this case, I want to more make light of something.
Yes.
Which is that, as we understand, last week, Charlotte... was given a suspension and a fine for hitting an official. This week, Sonya Deville, who is the assistant GM for SmackDown, said that her suspension has now been voided. Now,
the silence is deafening.
Do we have an authority figure or do we not?
It's the one who looks better in a suit, which, may I say, Sonya Deville looks really, really good in a suit. She makes that...
As I was saying to people on Twitter, Sonya Deville only serves, there's no middle ground, there's nothing else. She just serves.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
Absolutely.
Do we have authority figures or not?
Answers
on the postcard.
I mean, I know, because am I right in saying that Adam Pearce's official role outside of the storylines has been changed now? I heard something about Adam Pearce's role in the company now has changed.
Well, as far as I know, outside of on stage, his role is that he's just one of the head trainers. I don't know if he's if anything else has specifically been changed. We should say the new head of talent relations on Raw is now Jason Jordan.
Hey!
John Laurinaitis has now been recused.
Now here's the question: will Jason Jordan adopt the croaky voice of one John Laurinaitis?
I hope not.
People power.
Because the more I have to hear John Laurinaitis' voice, the more annoyed I get.
Imagine if you had a shouting contest between John Laurinaitis and Steven Richards.
I'd much rather hear Steven Richards.
You gotta do the tutorial!
John Laurinaitis' voice, genuinely, for no discernible reason, just annoys me.
Oh, well, if you don't got it, get it. And if you don't get it, figure it out, as he says.
Be quiet, Johnny Funk, man. But yeah, so we should say that, and that's honestly pretty... I want to say pretty promising, especially for them to have the confidence in Jason Jordan to take that position.
Yeah. It's good.
But also just kind of what it means, because, I mean, it was kind of the thing that everyone had been saying when we saw that John Laurinaitis was back as head of talent relations, which was, this probably ain't going to be great for the women's talent on Raw.
Yeah.
And I feel like in practice that kind of showed. But, I'm hopeful for what Jason Jordan brings. I mean, hopefully, Jason Jordan spent his time in it, maybe put some attention towards the tag team division. Maybe that can be Raw's thing.
You're a funny one, Dad. You really are.
Hey, I am here all week. I'm a barrel of laughs.
Are you, though?
Depends what your sense of humour is.
Fair.
Vince McMahon's sense of humour?
No, much more absurd than that.
Oh, Jesus.
Moving on next, though, Sheamus's open challenge for the United States title was answered by Humberto Carrillo, who is completely jacked to hell. Built like a unit.
To quote one Adam Blompier in his video of body transformations, Humberto Carrillo looks like he ate Jinder Mahal.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, he is ginormous.
Like, it's honestly kind of weird because I remember seeing him back in, July 2020.
Who are you?
And
And what have you done with Umberto?
Yeah, it's really weird. Anyway, though, we then have the next segment of Bobby Lashley and MVP being interviewed about the possibility of Braun Strowman being added in a triple threat match at Backlash. I think I speak for other people when I say this, but honestly, I think the wrong option is just Lashley losing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, frankly, Lashley dropping the title at Backlash just isn't it.
Oh, wait. You're not saying it right. WrestleMania Backlash.
Sorry, it's WrestleMania Backlash.
Dear God in heaven.
Shortly following WrestleMania SummerSlam and then WrestleMania Survivor Series.
WrestleMania Clash of Champions.
They got to pay off that pirate ship somehow, Riordan.
Oh my God. There's just that pirate ship, just the ghost ship just going through the entire year.
Genuinely, WrestleMania Backlash just annoys me to no end.
No, agreed.
It really
Agreed.
does.
We then had... we then had the team of Matt Riddle and Randy Orton versus Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. It's Team RK Bro.
Yes, because
as they want to call themselves, or Matt Riddle wants to call them.
How do you capitalise on a storyline which saw Randy Orton actually kill someone? You partner him with you partner him with a weed addict. Yes, I've said it. There you go, bro.
I honestly think that Randy Orton smoking weed would kill him. Like,
because he does that weird body convulsion thing every time he does an RKO. Could you imagine that after he's taken a quick rip?
That man would turn into a human slinky.
Look, all I'm saying is, right, if he wants to be hearing voices, then, like, it might be an option.
There you go. Get Rob Van Dam to manage the team, and bingo.
As my friend said, this just seems like a tag team that was genuinely born to just have to pop a merch idea.
Yeah.
That's. I think your friend's on the money there.
Because in my mind, as much as I've been watching and following Raw, I can't think of, aside from like the segment they had like last week and the week before. But both of those segments just ended with Randy Orton being like, "No, I don't want to team with you." So I don't know how anything else has come to the point of them becoming a proper tag team, but I don't know. Then we had Asuka, Lana, and Naomi versus Shayna Baszler, Nia Jackson, Rhea Ripley. I mean, it's a 6-person tag match.
Yeah, this ain't gonna end well, is it?
Nope.
It's just like full of attempted in like disruption and people getting involved, and like Reginald's there as well. Still have no idea what he's doing, but yeah, it was just kind of like a chaotic 6-person match. It wasn't like there was anything amazing in it. There were some good moments. I mean, you have Asuka, Naomi, and Rhea Ripley and Shayna Baszler in the match. Like,
yes,
it's not like they're incompetent people or anything.
It's just incompetent creative.
That's pretty much Raw right now.
Yeah.
Then we had Charlotte Flair versus Mandy Rose. Basically just a quick match just for Charlotte's return. Gets her back in the picture, gets her back in being visible. Not that that was an issue beforehand, but, you know, I understand why they did it.
Gosh, do you remember this time last year when Mandy Rose was in a mainline story?
Do you remember when she was in an actual story?
Oh, Jesus.
And then to pretty much round off the night, we had Drew McIntyre versus Braun Strowman. with Braun winning, which means that he is able to enter the WWE Championship match at WrestleMania Backlash. It's now a triple threat.
Indeed.
Mace and T-Bar also got involved again. I mean, in terms of like rounding something off and being like, hey, look, it's now everything's come full circle. I can't complain. Like, they did do that. But, I don't know. Again, like, as everyone said, like, I think this was one of the lowest drawing Raws. Again, it kind of continues to keep falling.
Where's my ratings?
I think people said it was a 1.77 million.
Holy moly, that's not good.
Wow.
Like 1.77 million people total.
That's not great, Bob.
That's not great at all. Oh gosh.
So it's rough.
Jeez, man, no wonder so many people have been turning off Raw and are just watching the highlights on YouTube. Like, seriously, that's what I've been doing. Gosh, I want to say I've been doing that since late 2020. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, honestly, because
the thing is that I normally record it and then watch it like the next morning. It's like I'm not staying up till like 3 a.m. for that.
Yeah,
agreed.
Like, honestly, I get my news from you, Dan. You know, honestly.
Gosh,
I get it from, and then I go on Reddit and then find out if something important's happened, and that's it.
See what you're doing,
can't.
WWE. Your people are having to watch through a podcast and Reddit.
Yeah, the fact that I've gone to Reddit means that something is terribly wrong and needs to be fixed.
There's been a great disturbance in the force.
Yeah.
Moving over, though, just quickly, over to Impact now. Mm-hmm. We start off the show with a recap of Rebellion, showing Kenny Omega beating Rich Swann to become the new Impact champion. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Obviously, a lot of the reaction has been around, what does this work for Impact, or what does this do for Kenny, or what does this mean in the whole context of everything else?
Yeah.
All valid questions.
Indeed.
I guess the thing for myself I would say is, well, whoever beats Kenny is going to get the fucking monster moment.
Oh, absolutely. And in terms of ratings, it's one of the highest Impact has had since their glory days of TNA in 2008, 2009. So it did something.
Yeah, and I mean, I think another kind of pressing thing about it is, like, again, it's that thing of, as much as it does reflect badly on Impact, it is kind of one of those things that it's like, you've got to invest and commit to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though, like I said, I think in a lot of other ways, this has actually kind of negatively affected Impact. That's across a couple of levels, not related to the booking of this storyline.
Oh yeah, no, agreed on that one, no, for sure.
Because like there's elements of it where it's pretty much just seems like AEW's management's prerogative is just, whenever they are talking about it, their prerogative is just to shit on Impact as much as possible. And like, you know, if you show a company, if you're like doing this whole thing about coming into another company, if you're not showing the company as there being any jeopardy, no one's going to care when your people and their people have matches.
Yeah.
But like, that's a whole other conversation. Starting with this one though, we have Scott D'Amore basically addressing the roster, saying that there's going to be a number one contenders match for the Impact title, and that there's going to be qualifying matches to determine who gets into that number one contenders match. So then coming out of this, we had then Chris Bay versus Jake Something. Chris Bay picking up the win.
Yeah.
And personally, for me, Chris Bay is the person that I have to win it.
Yeah, I would really love
because
to
they
see Chris
need
Bay
to
win it.
capitalize on him. He's money for them.
Oh no, he is over as hell at the moment, Riordan. And like, if you've not seen any of his matches, go out of your way to watch him. He's really good.
Then we had Sam Beal versus the newly pronounced W. Morrissey, formerly Big Cass, who's now made his return to wrestling.
Who everyone says looks like a giant Edge. Like a giant version of Edge.
He looks like Edge, but like 6'5".
It's ridiculous.
Now I'm happy. I am happy for Cass because it looked like he was
so happy for it.
It looked like he was in the right doldrums a couple of years ago, but he looks like he's properly turned his life around.
Yeah,
genuinely so happy for him. We had Kimberly with Susan versus Taylor Wilde, which was a nice little match.
Great to see Taylor Wilde back as well.
Yeah.
Really cool. The absolute standouts of the TNA Knockouts division, if you ask me.
No, absolutely.
Up there with Gail Kim and Awesome Kong for sure. No, it's nice to see Taylor back.
It's kind of crazy to think that she was only there for like a couple of years.
Yeah. It's insane, and how like the
wait, hang on, back up. Really?
Taylor Wilde was only with TNA for what, 4 years?
Yep, 4 years.
Wow, I didn't know that. I thought that she was there for longer.
Yeah.
We had the X Division title match. Josh Alexander defending against Ace Austin and retaining the title.
That was a good match.
I mean, it's Josh Alexander and Ace Austin. As much as I do clown on Ace Austin,
don't we all?
I know I shouldn't, because he is really good. It's just he's just one of those people that for some reason I don't know what it is. Like, I see him and I'm like, I don't know why I have second thoughts about you, but I do. But I'm trying to stop that. He's genuinely really good.
Yeah.
We then had Myers versus Cardona, which was basically like a rerun of the match of Rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sami Callihan versus Eddie Edwards, which I am excited to see develop into a pay-per-view match.
Yeah.
But Kenny and the Good Brothers appeared. No contest is given. And then afterwards, FinJuice come out and start brawling as it then ends.
Impact, everybody.
But
Did you know we've opened the forbidden door?
Again, there is a lot of promise here.
No, agreed.
Go on.
No. I was going to say, yeah, there is a lot of promise there, and I'm looking forward to seeing what is going to be coming to fruition. Not only in here in Impact with the conclusion of that, but what also was announced at AEW, which is a perfect segue.
It is a perfect segue. But just quickly going through again, we had Page versus Cage.
Page versus Cage.
In the battle for the age.
Yep. Again, great show from Brian Cage. And again, this is like a future title match for them.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
It's literally just a stepping point.
I'm just upset that there wasn't a spot on the stage. Because, there would have been Page and Cage on the stage. Reader's getting into a rage.
I'm getting tired. Getting tired of your shit. Getting tired of your shit, Sam.
I'm sorry, I'm in a bit of a mood.
Oh, God.
We then had the Young Bucks versus the Sydal Brothers, which again was a nice little match.
That was a great match, especially for the Johnny Cage crotch punch.
Yeah, that was a nice spot. We then had Orange Cassidy with Trent versus Penta.
Oh, that was a great match.
And again, a great little match and a nice little use of a distraction finish.
Yeah.
We then had the promo between Pinnacle and Inner Circle about the Blood and Guts match.
Which was really good from everyone, actually. From both sides. All the promos were really freaking good.
I mean, my personal favourite was Sammy Guevara just telling Sean Spears he is a failure.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
Okay, babe.
But yeah, it's just kind of it's a big verbal back and forth between the two, and it's like, oh, we'll do whatever it takes to win, and this and that. Sentence I never thought I'd hear myself say. There was a promo segment between Eddie Kingston and Michael Nakazawa.
And it was the best thing ever, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, and it was really, really good. They're not too... I didn't expect to see them together in AEW, at least, anyway. I mean, obviously they are, because Nakazawa's with Omega, and they're like selling him as like the admin guy between Kenny bringing people over from Japan and stuff. He's like an agent.
It's amazing. I love it. I love it so much.
Nakazawa hitting Kingston with a laptop.
Yeah.
Then Brandon Cutler comes out to try and take care of Eddie Kingston, but then Moxley appears and beats them both up.
Yep.
Kingston then just saying he will break Kenny's leg if he doesn't get a match against him, which, hell yes.
Look, we'll say it again. We've said it before. We'll say it again. He needs to be in the main event picture.
Should be. We then had Penelope Ford versus Chris Statlander. Excited to see Chris Statlander back for AEW's women's division.
Yeah.
She's kind of someone that we were like, yeah, they kind of need her back.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And it is showing. We then had the Nightmare Family, which was Dustin Rhodes, Billy Gunn, and Lee Johnson versus the Factory. So it's QT Marshall, Dick Conrado, and Aaron Solo, with Anthony Ogogo at ringside. And again, nice little multi-man tag match. And it kind of does the important thing that it needs to, which is just to say, like, hey, don't look at the older guys, look at the younger guys.
Yes. No, I was going to say that. Great little match. And it did really showcase the younger guys, like, in spades.
We then had 10 from the Dark Order versus Darby Allin, which is, again, nice little match. Ethan Page attacking Darby Allin in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Darby Allin picking up the win. Again, points to be said about his title reign and where it really stands in amongst everything and all of that. But let's get to the important bit for AEW, right? Jon Moxley versus Yuji Nagata for the IWGP US title on Dynamite. Sign me the hell up.
You know what's great and what's really telling, I want to say this, is how the only bit of exciting news coming from New Japan isn't to do with the World Champion. Isn't to do with any of the shows they've got going on at the moment. It's to do with the fact that they've got the 50-odd-year-old legend that is Yuji Nagata going up against Jon Moxley on AEW. If that doesn't... I mean, like,
it's the thing. Like, it's the thing I can say about where New Japan is. At least for someone like me, who's maybe not so much a super fan that wants to watch every show.
Yeah.
Like, I'll admit, I'm at the point where with, like, the Road 2 shows, I'm just like, yeah, okay. Cool, I guess.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are feeling like that now. I mean, there's also a myriad other reasons why I don't want to watch New Japan right now.
No, agreed. And I'm with you on that one.
Very clear. But I don't know, I just feel like there's not as much jeopardy or excitement to it, and like the Road 2 shows are kind of burning people out.
Yeah.
But for me, seeing Yuji Nagata versus Jon Moxley, I'm like, hell yeah, let's go for this.
I am so looking forward to that match, because both of them will absolutely wail on each other in that match. So that gets me excited for sure.
Hell yeah. Moving over to NXT quickly, again, I'll just try and kind of speed through it. Mercedes Martinez picking up the win by DQ because of Gonzalez interfering.
Yep.
Basically, looks like we're going to get Martinez versus Gonzalez over the NXT Women's title. Hell yes, sign me up.
Yeah.
As I said, more Hoss women's matches.
Yes.
Because Mercedes Martinez is a legit contender, and I will not have them stepping away from that.
Yeah.
Because she should be.
Oh, God, yeah.
Sorry.
That's all right, buddy.
We then had another continuation on the whole Index storyline.
The greatest soap opera.
With random flowers appearing and being delivered, apparently from Dexter Loomis, supposedly to go to Shotzi.
That's Oh, I love it. I don't know why, but I do.
We then have grizzled young veterans cutting a promo in ring, talking about how they're the best in the tag team division and that they're going after MSK. They get interrupted by Ciampa and Thatcher, and then they start brawling out.
Cutting a promo only a Scouser could.
Well, I mean, like, people from the UK are built different.
Truly built.
Truly built different to the US. We had Tony Storm versus Zeta Ramia. Like, this is the thing that it kind of annoys me with how people treat this, which is like, oh, how's Tony Storm losing to someone that's new? You want to bring her in and make her have impact. So getting a win over Tony Storm is a really easy way to do that, considering also Tony Storm isn't in the middle of the story right now.
Yeah. Which is criminal, but yeah.
Yeah, it's criminal, but like it's an important point.
Yeah.
We then had Austin Theory versus Bronson Reed, which was honestly a pretty good match.
It wasn't too bad. Not too bad at all.
I don't know, there's something I like about Bronson Reed just seemingly just unaffected by the distraction.
I get what you mean.
He's just there, he just kind of elbows someone in the face like, yes, okay, I'm still going. This is fine. We had a quick match between Imperium and Maverick and Dane.
Yeah.
Which is a nice little short match. Nice little moment between Dane and Wolf, where Wolf refuses to hit him with the chair.
Yeah. Oh my god, they're actually doing callbacks, which surprised the hell out of me.
I know. I'm surprised they're doing callbacks to Sanity, because I figured they probably wanted to forget that happened.
Yeah. So, no, it surprised the heck out of me, that one did.
Or at least forget it happened outside the confines of WWE NXT. Pete Dunne cuts a promo saying about how no one takes him seriously, and how he could go 1-for-1 with Kushida like he has, or go to NXT UK and take back the Volta. Looks like it's going to be setting up for him versus Gargano, but remains to be seen from here. I guess I enjoy the part of a British person having the North American title.
Yeah.
We then have a vignette on what seems to be a new group called the Diamond Mine, and it's basically led to a bunch of speculation, ranging from the good to the bad to the ridiculous.
Of course.
If you want my guess on it is that there was a number of talents that WWE brought in a couple months back, kind of under the radar, who were all kind of fairly green. So I imagine it'll probably be them.
Yeah.
Or at least from the way they phrased it, made it seem like it was multiple people. I wish I could remember any of their names, but I can't. But like I think it was Christian Casanova they brought in, and a couple other people of that kind of, that kind of level and group.
Yeah.
So I can imagine it's probably going to be them. If it is the worst case scenario, then it basically just goes to show WWE genuinely do not care.
Yeah.
But hey, that's that. If it happens, it happens, and I'll just have to scream.
Like we always do.
Yeah. Then just ending off with a really good tag match. Legado del Fantasma versus Kushida and MSK. Legado del Fantasma picking up the win.
Great match.
It's basically just a really good lucha style multi-person tag match, or trios match, but just lots of good work between them. Wesley just basically spending a whole chunk of the match on his own, just kind of surviving.
That man's got star written all over him. Him and Carter have got stars written all over him.
Absolutely. Just quickly going over to NXT UK, the only thing I really want to give a real shout out for is it looks like, again, we're getting slowly further and closer towards the rematch between Ilya Dragunov and Volta.
Yeah. Another shout out I want to give to is the production team in NXT UK, because they do it so much better than the production team in the US. I speak of, the subculture promo that they and
again, the subculture promo, which I'm super here for.
Gosh, yeah. Like Mark Andrews, Flash Morgan Webster, and Danny Luna, like 3 people that I've absolutely loved in the British scene coming together to form a group. I am all here for that. Yeah,
it's just really cool for me, just because of like the way that they're setting out the group.
Yeah,
and like what they mean.
No, same.
But no, absolutely made flat. And then for Meiko Satomura versus Aoife Valkyrie, lots of people really impressed by Aoife Valkyrie after this match, as it should be.
Yeah, she did tremendously well.
But no, it was absolutely amazing. And I think if you're doing a point where you're like, oh, she's undefeated, and it's like you come up against the best, and then you lose, like, okay, yeah. And I'm not going to talk about the main event because of people.
Yeah, no, agreed. SmackDown was...
All I'm going to say is one of the teams that was in it shouldn't be in there.
No, agreed.
You know who you are. So actually, I'm just going to quickly go over to Noah first.
Oh gosh, yeah, Noah.
Just to give a quick shout out, just because I know a lot of people probably aren't watching it, especially people who listen to this. If you are a listener to this and you watch Noah, hey, good on you.
Yes, exactly.
I only watched it because I actually had time for it and made time for it. But no, just to give shout outs to obviously the 3 main matches from it. So the GHC Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championship match, which was great. Just solid work between them.
Yeah.
My personal favorite match of this edition of The Glory was the GHC National Championship match. Takeshita Sugiyura defeating Kazuki Fujita and now winning the GHC National title.
That was a great match.
We had Kazuchi Sakuraba coming out to challenge Takeshi Sugiyura for the GHC National.
So freaking excited for that.
Keiji Muto defending against Masa Kitayama for the GHC Heavyweight title. And it's very much the case that people are like... I mean, I know for myself, obviously, I know I'm the person that has said, we've all said about, like, older wrestlers in, like, WWE and AEW and stuff.
Mm.
But I don't know. Something about Muto's reign, I'm like, I kind of like it for him.
Yeah, I wasn't 100% on it because I was very much... I really liked Shiazaki's work last year.
Oh, no. Shiazaki's work was, like, a star.
So, having given it to Muto, I wasn't...
I feel like I'm getting it's like the Legends lost roll of the dice.
Exactly.
And then obviously they'll have someone take it off him. But then again, side one to give a lot of attention to, another great match from this event was M's Alliance, Masaki Mochizuki, Masato Tanaka and Naomichi Marufuji defeating Kaito Kitayama, Okada, not the Okada, Kinya Okada, and Yoshiki Imura. Which was a great multi-person tag match, and also it has Naomichi Marufuji in it.
Yes,
which just means you should basically just watch out of principle, really.
Speaking of Marufuji, though,
You can go. You take the floor.
Speaking of Marufuji, it looks like he's going up against Keiji Muto for the title, for the GHC heavyweight title, which I'm very excited for. I know a lot of people rag on him, especially during the glory days of Noah and its early days, but I've always been a fan of Marufuji, so I'm looking forward to this.
He's great. Just quickly now, just to burn through SmackDown. Something which I love seeing, which is intergender tag matches. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Bayley, Dolph Ziggler, and Robert Roode versus the Street Profits and Bianca Belair. Great little match, this. Great
Montez
opener
Ford.
as well.
That's all I have to say about this match. Montez Ford.
As I said on Twitter, Montez Ford, that is all.
That is all. That is all that is necessary.
Let's just say, because I don't know if I've shown you the clip, but he's now just taken to just doing the frog splash from a springboard and just not climbing the top rope.
But the fact he still gets the same exact amount of hang time from a springboard position.
Even higher.
Yeah, it's crazy, Riordan.
What?
He does the Rob Van Dam cell better than Rob Van Dam did it as well.
Okay, now you must have taken leave of your senses.
No,
Come
seriously,
now.
he does the Rob Van Dam cell better than Rob Van Dam.
Is it as good as the Rob Van Dam cell? I don't know personally. But what I will say is, he certainly gets up higher.
Yeah. It's redonky dick, is what they say.
Wow.
We then had Natalya and Tamina versus Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax, and this was basically like a 5-minute match.
With Reginald, once more!
Kind of just lots of... It's basically just a spot-to-spot match. Kind of people just trying to get their way through to the end. Get interviewed with the Mysterios about trying to get to make history at WrestleMania Backlash. Kind of happened at Mania.
Yeah.
But, it is what it is. We move.
Yeah.
We get another promo from Aleister Black ahead of his return.
Definitely
talking
taking...
about how he can see the reality of the world.
I get the... I'm not going to lie. I get the feeling that Aleister Black is going to announce himself as the DLC for Resident Evil Village with these promos.
Wait. And he now is the reality of the world. Is Aleister Black telling people to sign on to QAnon? Is that what's going on here?
No, he's just a massive edgelord.
Okay. So the usual.
Yeah, no, it's no QAnon. That's NXT, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah, that's NXT. We'll leave that to them. No, Aleister Black's just being like an edgelord, kind of. At least that's the way it seems to me. Where he's just like, I can see the reality of the world, and people are tainted and haven't learned to see things for themselves. They consume what is around them.
I can see clearly now the rain has gone, he says in a menacing
pretty
voice.
much. We then had Apollo Crews versus Big E, and Big E wins via disqualification because of Commander Izzy's getting involved. Apollo Crews retains. Sami Zayn then comes out and helps them, but then they just beat him up. So I have no idea what that was for. But we get a graphic for Cesaro versus Seth Rollins next week, and then we have the big match. And they made it feel like a big match. First off, Roman has new music, which is great.
Yeah, and a lot of people ragged on it. I thought it was quite good for Roman. It perfectly encapsulates the head of the table vibe they're going for.
It's not music from The Shield. Exactly. So we're still not living in 2015. And also, I've said this before, the music he had, for as much as they were trying to make him seem like a big star, made him sound like a default character.
Yeah.
A default CAW.
Yeah.
But no, this was a good match.
This match was great. I rate this as a 4-star match, 4.5 at a push, but this match was phenomenally good.
And then it goes through to the end. We get to the finish, which again was great. Roman getting a submission win. And then Roman retains. And then Daniel Bryan now must leave SmackDown.
to tend
So,
to tend to his vegan farm.
So now the question obviously becomes, where does Daniel Bryan go?
Oh, it's definitely a part-time schedule, and it couldn't happen to a nicer guy, if you ask me. Like, the guy is winding down in his career. He has had one hell of a career, not only just in WWE, but within the indies. If this is the last hurrah, I hope he makes it a bloody good one leading up to his retirement.
Yeah, Daniel Bryan will now retire to a farm that in NVP's version of Wakanda, only to be drawn on at WrestleMania each year. He is now the Undertaker.
So basically, we're saying that Roman Reigns is Thanos and Daniel Bryan is Captain America.
Well, given how Roman talks now in his promos, I feel like that's not that far removed.
Yeah, I think you might be onto something there.
So is this because? Does this mean then that Cesaro is Iron Man if he's the Swiss cyborg?
Acknowledge it.
Oh, he absolutely is.
I mean, the way they're going about this is it's beginning to look a lot like Endgame. If the ending part with Cesaro coming out to try and save Bryan was anything to go by. But yeah, oh my goodness. No, great match. A bit of a visceral. Oh, I want to say visceral, but yet so perfect way to end SmackDown with a concerto to Bryan.
Absolutely. Yeah. My two side notes for this week's news are: first off, hell yeah, Marty the Moth debuting in AEW. Let's go.
Yes, fucking hell
my
yes.
guy. Love it. Second of all, Sexy Star made her return to MMA and got beat to hell.
I'm sure Rosemary didn't mind that at all.
Probably not.
Though I wouldn't imagine her to be that petty because, that's just stooping to Sexy Star's level. But I digress.
Yeah. Okay. Sexy Star.
But with that,
we're done.
Thank goodness, Dad. As ever, as you all lovely people know, we are, of course, affiliated with Graps Apparel. So make sure to type in the code SWEETCHIN at checkout for 10% off of your order. That is Sweet Chin in all caps. Gary's been coming out with some really cool designs as of late, and I'm really liking some of the stuff he's doing.
They've got some ties now with independent wrestlers. I think they did a piece with Davey Richards recently.
And I believe they just are about to do a collaboration shirt with Ray Horus as well.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that. But as I said, yeah, go check them out. Great apparel company. Before I head on, Riordan, do you have anything for the recommendation corner as well?
Recommendation corner. What is for the recommendation corner? I think I'm going to recommend, if you haven't seen it already, actually, I know what I'm going to recommend. I I need to check it out. It is, it's a new Netflix show, new Netflix movie that's just come out. Hang on.
I thought you were going to say Rush Hour 2 for a moment there.
God, it's so frustrating. There it is. I know what it is. The Mitchells and the Machines.
I've heard good things about that.
Yeah, done by the same people who did Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So, ooh. Yeah.
Oh, I'm definitely going to have to pick that one up for sure.
Yeah. So if you're on Netflix, check it out. Awesome. We love us some animation here at the Sweet Chinwag podcast. So that's a good one.
Oh, yeah,
that's a good one.
Doing then some. Alrighty then. With all of that, it is time to head on to the main portion of this episode: Madison Square Garden. Now, first question I'd like to ask you, chaps, is this: what picture conjures up in your brain when you hear that name, Madison Square Garden?
Do you want me to be honest?
Be honest.
The Beastie Boys.
Yeah. But no. But that is a very valid answer.
I don't know why, but for some reason, Madison Square Garden, even though we're talking in necessarily in the confines of wrestling, but for some reason, I don't know why Madison Square Garden's always attached to boxing for me.
For me, it's the New York Knicks and Patrick Ewing, funnily enough. That's the first thing that conjures up in my brain when I think of Madison Square Garden.
Well, that's an interesting one.
But I guess in a wrestling context,
I know I say that for myself, but generally I just try and avoid thinking about the Knicks. So
that is true. But I guess in a wrestling context, if someone said, "What's the kind of like first wrestling image that comes into your head when in regards to Madison Square Garden?" I guess for me it would probably be Roddy Piper and Mr. T squaring off against one another.
It's fair.
If I had to say for myself, it'd probably be either Rumble 2000 or WrestleMania 20.
Yeah. What about you?
If I had to guess.
What do you think, Riordan? What would be the first wrestling image that conjures your brain when you hear Madison Square Garden?
It's a WrestleMania. For some reason, I just think Hulk Hogan, just in general.
Yeah. But
seems
disappointingly,
really...
Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, it just seems to be his arena, for better or worse.
Yeah. I mean, it was San Martino's for a little while, then it was Backlund's, but I guess the one who made the biggest impact would have been Hogan.
Mm-hmm. Okie
doke. So, with all of that, I'm going to give you guys a little brief history of Madison Square Garden, and then we're going to talk about WWWF's very first appearance in what we now know as the modern incarnation of Madison Square Garden, before going on about WrestleMania 1 and then some of our favourite moments and events from Madison Square Garden. Sound good?
Sound good to me.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, we'll take the way back machine to the 19th century. The Garden's histories can be traced back all the way to the 19th century with a little patch of land on 5th Avenue and Broadway at 23rd Street in Manhattan, named Madison Square. Named after, of course, James Madison, who was the 4th President of the United States. Please correct me if I'm wrong, American listeners. I'm going to get absolutely crucified if I got that wrong.
Probably.
I'm going to say that you're potentially correct. I only know their names because of quiz shows. I don't know the time periods.
Same. So, a facility was built there in 1879. Funnily enough, it was leased to one P.T. Barnum, of course, who was most famous for Barnum and Bailey Circus. So this version of the Garden, it didn't last very long, only due to it being an open-air arena, and of course due to inclement weather conditions, it always ruined events. So any event that was put on there, it was absolutely chucking it down with rain, they would have to cancel. So this version, the very first incarnation of the Garden, was demolished in 1890. The second Madison Square Garden was built the same year, with funding from a conglomerate of the richest people in the 19th century, basically. So J.P. Morgan, Andrew Carnegie, P.T. Barnum, Darius Mills, James Stillman, and W.W. Astor formed a syndicate to fund and, of course, build Madison Square Garden 2, the sequel, which was always better than the first one.
Madison Sequel Gardens.
Can I ask a question? Why is it called Madison Square? Was it literally a garden at some point?
It pretty much, that little patch of land would have been a garden. And because, of course, the very first incarnation was open air, it kind of made sense to call it the Garden because it took place, outside. Most of the attractions, it was mostly, because it was P.T. Barnum, it mostly was carnival and circus stuff at that time. Occasionally with some boxing here and some occasional kind of like carny things like wrestling, even with the carnival stuff around that. It just became the Garden. But yes, where was I? Yes, the second MGS. Oh, sorry, that was Metal Gear Solid. No, the second MSG. Sorry,
Metal Gear Solid. Okay.
The second MSG was designed by Stanford White and dedicated solely to boxing events. This one would last until 1925, with the third Madison Square Garden starting work in a new location on 8th Avenue rather than on 5th Avenue. This building would last until 1968, where the fourth incarnation and the Garden we all know and love was built and completed in 1969, above Penn Station, if anyone's ever been there.
I've been to Penn Station.
I've heard, that's the worst station in New York. So
yeah, I've had that multiple times.
Station in New York because it's the one where like every single train goes into.
God.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Fun fact: when I was there, I actually saw troops coming back from Afghanistan. Actually, when I was around there.
Jeez.
Yeah.
All right, well, you're making me feel worse about my fact that I was going to be there and say. For all my people that live in South London, basically Penn Station is just like a slightly more built-up version of Clapham Junction.
Oh, you're right.
Oh God, you're right, and I hate it.
At least Penn Station has the distinct honor of having Madison Square Garden on top of it.
It has Madison Square Gardens and isn't the busiest station via freight numbers or whatever.
Damn you, Dad.
It is, though. That's what Penn Station is. It's a station where every single train just goes into, and there's like 70 platforms.
That is very true. Very, very true. So now, of course, we get to the modern incarnation, the world's famous arena of Madison Square Garden. One of the very first events that happened in this new building was when WWWF put on the very first show in February 19th of 1968. Now, just for context, the building was finished and opened on February the 12th. And so pretty much WWWF and Vince Sr. was putting on this show was one of the very first, not only like wrestling shows, but one of the very first shows to be put on at the new MSG. Drew a gate of 12,989 people on this evening. Would you like me to go through the card just to give you kind of like a little?
That's kind of a mad flex, though.
Yeah, I mean,
like one of the first shows at the newly rebuilt place.
But that's the thing, like, because it was like Vince's like home turf, and because he even in the previous gardens, like Vince Senior always had like a little bit of like stroke when it came to the arena and being able to put on shows there. It only made sense in a way to put on a wrestling show as one of the very first things at the Garden. So yeah, would you guys like to know the card for this? I
assume it's basically what the main event's Bruno Sammartino.
How did you know?
Look, man, I'm basically just an A-star wrestling historian at this point.
So yeah, Sammartino going up against Bull Ramos. Of course, he won via submission with the backbreaker, funny enough, in 12 minutes 43 seconds.
Well, I'll be.
But running down the card, we had the Magnificent Maurice defeating Carl Steve. Virgil, the Kentucky Butcher, defeating Edouard Carpentier.
I don't know why, but when you said that, I was like, wait, Virgil?
Could you imagine if Virgil's new...
I was like, that makes no sense. Why is my brain... I was like, I know this is a different person, but my brain just refused to go anywhere else.
And now I'm just imagining Virgil with like a butcher's apron now. Victor Rivera defeating Hans Mortier. That's weird spelling. I'll leave it at that. Professor Toru Tanaka defeating Dominic DeNucci. Yes, Mick Foley's coach to a draw. Actually, no, they both fought to a draw, I should say. Not Tanaka defeating Dominic DeNucci. Miguel Perez defeating Gil Gordon. The Sheik defeating Luis Cerdan. Yes, The Sheik. Sabu's uncle. Yeah. We had Earl Maynard defeating Luke Graham with a West Indian backbreaker.
A lot of backbreakers today.
Yeah, that was the hot thing.
Little Beaver and Little Jackie defeating Sky Low and Little Brutus. And judging by those names, I can only imagine, yeah, it probably was a little person attraction, wasn't it?
Probably.
Yeah. And then, of course, Sammartino defeating Bull Ramos in the main event. Not a bad gate at 12,000, being one of the very first shows, and kind of a very safe, at the time, very safe card to put on for WWWF.
Well, because I know, like, over time, they've added, like, somehow managed to add more seats to it.
Yeah, eventually. Eventually they got there.
Because I think now the capacity is, 18,000?
Around 18 to 20,000, depending on kind of like set design.
Depending on the event.
depending on the event. Which
Because
leads us...
I know for, like, I think it's ice hockey.
Yeah.
Where they can only get, like, 16,000 in.
Yeah, and I believe they can get 20,000 in for Knicks games, I believe.
Yeah.
So solely dependent on the sport or the event that you're going to when you're there. But all of this, of course, leads us to WrestleMania 1. Of course, the event that every historian who's working in the WWF will tell you was the biggest gamble, and it paid off massively. It sold out everywhere and became the greatest event ever in wrestling history. What they don't tell you is that it actually didn't sell out Madison Square Garden.
They keep that part quiet, don't they?
They keep their part very quiet. It only drew a gate of...
Quiet.
They drew a gate of 19,121, which is nothing to scoff about. But... yeah, they would have you know that it was an absolute smash hit success that sold out the Garden and everywhere like it did when of course, with closed circuit television, they would put on events in like local movie theatres and stadiums and arenas as well. Actually, not stadiums, arenas, I should say. And charged admission. Apparently, they actually got more of their money from the closed circuit television through like showing it at arenas and movie theatres more than they did at the actual Garden. So, would you like to know some fun facts about WrestleMania before I go through the card as well?
Yeah.
Let's do it. I'll see how much I can remember from when we did our recap on WrestleMania.
So, of course,
probably nothing.
As everyone knows, the actual main theme song for this WrestleMania was "Easy Lover" by Phil Collins and Philip Bailey.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people can't believe, but then realise, of course, when they came to the home video release, they dubbed over it. Because Vince wasn't, wanting to pay the royalty fees to Phil Collins, I guess.
Look, right, I can't believe he'd do this to Phil Collins.
Exactly. Gene Okerlund sung the national anthem before the event went live.
See, now that's the history I come for.
Would you believe a technical glitch ended the closed-circuit broadcast early into the showing at the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh? To appease the angry fans who pelted the screen with garbage and tomatoes, Mania was broadcasted in its entirety on local television 2 weeks later.
Jesus.
Wow.
I don't even know how you managed to do that, though.
It's crazy. But absolutely, hilarious at the same time. It's I think that's just kind of, very poetic for WrestleMania and WWE in general. But have something like that to happen.
Yeah, it really is.
So, everyone knows, of course, that the original name for WrestleMania was going to be the Colossal Tussle. It was actually, with that spelling, Tossle, not Tussle, but Tossle.
It's just amazing.
What I love is that they came to that first.
It was also, but that was the original plan meeting when they were spitballing ideas. There was one time it was actually going to be called Hulkamania, but then again, if it was going to be called that, it was going to be very hard to advertise that fact in 2015. And eventually,
it's just the thing of they got to. It sounds stupid when I say it because I know it's so reductive looking back in retrospect, but we have this big event about wrestling and with the Worldwide Wrestling Federation. What should we call this big event we have? The Colossal Tussle. And then eventually after that, they got to WrestleMania.
Yes. With Vince being I think it was Vince was the one, I believe, that came up with the name, because from what I've heard and what I've seen, he was very much of the kind of sticking it to everyone, because everyone was so adamant of calling it the Colossal Tussle. They was like, no, screw this, I'm calling it WrestleMania. And the rest, they say, is history.
I swear, the 80s are so cursed.
Talking of the cursed 80s and pop culture icons, Mr. T almost no-showed the event on the day.
I don't blame him.
Mostly because he was worried that Roddy Piper, who had genuine animosity towards him, was going to shoot on him during the main event. Basically, Hogan had to babysit him for the entire day and talk him out of not showing up. Well, that's what legend and myth will tell you, anyway. Of course, the celebrity guests were, of course, Muhammad Ali, Cyndi Lauper, Mr. T, Billy Martin, who I'm pretty sure when I was watching the main event for this was pretty drunk when he did the announcements for the main event. I'm almost certain he was drunk because he was calling out different people.
It was a different time.
It was a different time, of course. Oh, of course, who can not forget Liberace and the Rockettes?
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like my brain somehow managed to pass that out.
Kind of weird, huh?
Oh, but no, as a lot of people would tell you, this was this was one of the greatest events in the world, balls to the ball action, absolutely amazing stuff. A lot of people will tell you that it wasn't as good as you think it was or remember it. So
I think I remember in my run through when we did the WrestleMania episode that it was something.
It was something. A lot, and you think the technical glitches were bad when they were showing it in closed circuit broadcasts. Watching it back, there was a lot of mess ups. There was a lot of miscued, mistimed stuff that they've kept in the network version. May I add? I mean, all right. Granted, this was something that was wholly new to the world of wrestling. At that time, it was you keep to your lane and you keep to your territory. But this was Vince very much in his plans for world domination. He was taking wrestling on a national scale and, of course, putting it on closed-circuit television, even if the NWA beat him to it with Starrcade.
How did the company get to Starrcade before WrestleMania?
Because Vince saw the idea of closed-circuit television and said, you know what, I can take that, but make it bigger.
No, but just the name.
I know. You know what? I don't mind the name Starrcade.
No, I have no issue with the name. I'm just amazed that someone thought, Starrcade before WrestleMania.
Exactly.
WrestleMania seems like the most reductive and easiest thing to come up with.
Exactly. WrestlePalooza. No. But no, I will go down and run down the card very quickly for you. So, of course, Tito Santana defeated the Executioner, which was Buddy Rose under a mask, by submission. 4:49. This would be Tito Santana's one and only WrestleMania victory. So, from subsequent WrestleManias, from I believe 2 to 9, he lost every single match after that. King Kong Bundy defeated Special Delivery Jones in a squash match, which was supposed to be 4 seconds, but SD Jones was like, no, screw this, I'm making it 25 seconds.
I gotta get my stuff in, brother.
A newly debuted Ricky Steamboat, literally, he was 3 weeks into coming into WWF, ends up in a singles match at WrestleMania, defeating Matt Bourne, who would go on to be, of course, Doink the Clown.
The best iteration of Doink.
Brutus Beefcake with Johnny Valiant defeated David Sammartino, Bruno's son. It ended in a double disqualification, may I add. But it looked as if, David got the win. I'm not going to lie. That's why I got so weird.
But, look, we can be there and say, for as amazing and the place that his father holds in the wrestling canon, even though I can't necessarily speak to having seen much of any Bruno Sammartino matches, David Sammartino was not quite the same.
No, they tried.
They tried.
Junkyard Dog defeated Greg Valentine by countout. Of course, that means Greg Valentine was still champion.
Yep.
Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov with classy Freddie Blassie, I should say, because otherwise I'd be saying classy Freddie Blassie. Defeated the US Express of Barry Windham and Mike Rotundo. Of course, this is the very interesting thing. The US Express were the first team to come out, of course, to Real American before Hulk Hogan. Yeah. If you saw our Wrestlers in Music episode. You'd know that.
Oh yeah, the Iron Sheik won, so that's all that matters to me.
Humble.
Humble.
Andre the Giant defeating Big John Studd in the $15,000 Body Slam Challenge. After that, of course, Bobby Heenan tried to run off with this big sack of money, and then Andre caught up to him and then started flinging the money out to the crowd.
$15,000 Body Slam Challenge. I love it.
Wendy Richter with Cyndi Lauper defeating Leilani Kai with Moolah.
Hell yes.
At her side. Great visual. I mean, I always remember the aftermath, the victory kind of dance and lap with Richter and Lauper. Very famous sight. And then we get to the main event, the tag team match with Muhammad Ali and Pat Patterson as special guest referees, which saw Hogan and Mr. T defeating Paul Orndorff and Roddy Piper, with Bob Orton in their side. I'm not going to say who who was accompanying Hogan and T, because that's a whole different kettle of fish.
They lost to time.
That's lost to time. Stephen Richards. Now, I'll say this.
Yes, a very good appearance by Vacant.
Very good appearance by Vacant. No, what I'll say about this, T, held out his own. He's not a great wrestler, but he did hold out his own in this match. Bloody entertaining. Piper drawing massive nuclear heat, because it's only Roddy Piper and the greatest heel of all time. The great spot with Bob Orton and his cast missing Hogan and then hitting Piper on the head, I believe. And then, of course, the whole victory spiel of Hogan and Mr. T flexing their muscles and just hot dogging and grandstanding to the crowd to send them home happy. Fun fact, again, another little fun fact about this: the night previously, Hogan and T were hosts for Saturday Night Live, and the pay-per-view started at 1 p.m. in the afternoon.
Why can't that happen now?
Why can't that happen now? Jesus. So T and Hogan were supposedly out during their Saturday Night Live after parties that are very famous. So they probably would have gotten home at around 3 o'clock in the morning, and then you're getting a couple of hours sleep to then go to the Garden for a 1 p.m. start. God, they must have been flipping either drunk or completely tired during that entire match.
There's a secret thing that can help us later that I'm not allowed to mention.
So that's WrestleMania in a nutshell. It did really, as I said, it did incredibly well in terms of like the gates for arenas for the closed circuit television. And it didn't do a bad gate as well for the Garden, even though they would tell you that it absolutely sold out, it was packed to the rafters. Wasn't so.
I don't know. I don't know if this is just me thinking about it, but as much as a kind of novel concept as it is at this point in time, I have to say, if like WrestleMania was being showed at like a nearby cinema, I'd probably go watch it.
That would be interesting to see. But on the other hand, if it was anything like the cuts we see on WWE today, seeing it on the big screen would make me go absolutely ballistic.
Yeah, I know. I mean, look, I can continue my own personal vendetta against Kevin Dunn and the entire production of WWE and its camera work at this point in time. 12 cuts in 11 seconds, by the way. But no, I mean, it's something I'd love. It's something I'd love to have over here.
No, I know.
It's a really stupid and novel concept, and like, because it's not really a thing that exists over here.
No, I mean it's the pub. It's more. I guess the closest thing to that would be the pub, kind of like when the pubs open up late at night.
Like some pubs do it. I know loads of pubs in the UK do it for boxing all the time.
Yeah.
Because that was when me and my friends used to go to one nearby us and go and watch, like, I don't know if there's like an Anthony Joshua match on or something.
Yeah.
And I know there's one place in London which I think is attached to the O2 that does it.
Yes, I believe so. I believe so.
But no, I think like I would enjoy the kind of element of watching it in a community atmosphere, even though I'm not able to be at the venue for it. I think it's a good idea.
No, it's a bloody fantastic idea. And really, I mean, it speaks of the time, I guess, of the era, because of course, it wasn't like closed circuit television wasn't readily accessible. So what better way to do it if you've got a couple of bucks in your pocket and you really, really want to go and see it, and they're showing it at the local, cinema. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, like obviously, I know it's a really novel concept in the time we are now with like the network and everything like that.
Yeah. See, look, you had to go out, and socialise with other people to watch WrestleMania. Nowadays, you could just do it sitting in your bed on a laptop.
Yeah, I know. Maybe I want to go out and see people and do it. Maybe. That's a big maybe.
That's a big maybe.
But, like, I don't know. Maybe that's something we try and bring to the UK. I'll think about it.
But yeah, it ended up being, of course, as I said, ended up paying well for them. And it ended up being like, I think San Martino certainly laid the foundation. But I think it was this event in particular, and I guess the legend around it that WWE have made, that really set the legend of Madison Square Garden being the Mecca for professional wrestling.
Well, yeah, I think this is the point where, like, it's that transition point where it's kind of the start of it going from the WWWF to the WWF.
Yeah. From
it going from we are now the top people in New York to the top people in the whole of the country.
Yeah, it's a very overnight statement of going, I'm taking your territories now.
Yeah.
So, okay, this leads us to what are some of our favourite moments / events that have emanated from the Garden. I'm going to start out and just say WrestleMania 10 is probably my favourite WrestleMania from the Garden.
Yeah, no, I think that's understandable.
I mean, purely for I would say purely for the Bret Owen match and, of course, the ladder match. I don't think you could have done that ladder match any place else. In terms of just the sheer iconography, I guess. I mean, some of the pictures and images.
Are you sure you couldn't have done it at WrestleMania 9?
What, in the car park of Caesar's Palace? Nah, I think
yeah,
right.
Are you sure?
No, I'm doubly sure, Dan. It could have been. Oh God, could you imagine that? It could have been Shawn Michaels versus Marty Jannetty.
Yeah. Good Lord.
I'm gonna quickly give it to Riordan and say, what are some of your favourite moments and events from the Garden?
I'm gonna say the classic Eddie Guerrero Kurt Angle match in WrestleMania 20.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
A match which I honestly think wouldn't be as good if it wasn't in Madison Square Garden. For some reason, there's something about that place that just made them pull out everything.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. It's like, just WrestleMania 20 in general, it was a great idea to bring it back.
WrestleMania 20 is fully goated.
Yeah. I mean, I'll even say it is goated, especially with the fact that match, or that event, also has Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg.
Is it bad that I'm kind of it's in hindsight, it's kind of like a weirdly appropriate that that's how that WrestleMania ended.
I guess.
I don't know why. I know it's a real extreme hot take. It's not a good match, but it feels appropriate for reasons that escape me.
Yeah, but at least Austin sent them home happy, stunning everyone. So
Yeah.
Mm.
But no, I agree with that one. Like, Angle Guerrero at the Garden was so good.
Oh, absolutely.
So good. Dan, some of your
obviously for me, as I said earlier, Rumble 2000.
Oh, yeah. Like,
there's a whole swathe of good matches, but I mean, also for me as well, The Rock winning the Rumble.
Yeah.
Triple H versus Cactus Jack. That's kind of the main one. I guess the one I really want to give a shout out to though is the ROH New Japan Supercard.
Yeah, I was going to come.
As much as there are matches on here that I look back on and I'm like, I never want to see these again.
Agreed.
I'm gonna pick up heat here, but also it was the point where Matt Taven won the ROH World Championship.
I didn't mind.
I didn't really like his reign.
I didn't like it myself personally. But I felt like
I wasn't a big fan of it. No attack on Matt Taven, lovely guy, good wrestler. Wrong time for this decision.
Yeah, no, I agreed with you on that one.
And as much as this event is kind of just tainted with people that I just cannot, like, I just can't.
Yeah.
Kind of all over the card. I will say though, Okada versus Jay White was a great match.
Oh, that was a great match. I was so happy for Okada to get a main event spot at Madison Square Garden, and he looked like, honestly, he looked like he should have belonged there for a long ass time.
Oh yeah,
Jay White as well. Jay White as well.
Jay White's amazing. Jay White's bloody amazing. But also. ZSJ versus Tanahashi, and then also is it Ryu Lee? Someone Lee. Dragon Lee.
There we go. Yeah.
Bandito and Taiji Ishimori in the IWGP Junior Heavyweight match. That was great. It's only like 9 minutes, so go out and watch it.
That was a great one. No, a great event, and I'm kind of glad that that New Japan kind of saw that there was potential there in putting the show on Garden, because it worked out really well. Like they really, I mean, they didn't sell out per se, but they still got quite a good gate coming out of that show.
Well, because they were meant to do another one.
But then the world happened.
I can't remember what show it was meant to be.
I don't think it was Mania Week. I think it was like a June show that they were gonna.
No, I think it was like. I want to say around the same time as what would have been like Sakura Genesis, but there was meant to be another one last year that never happened.
Supposed to be happening.
Although,
this year.
to be fair though, with New Japan strong now.
It could be possible.
That could potentially bump up MSG in some of their priority.
There you go. Filthy Tom Lawler versus Tomohiro Ishii. There you go.
Yes.
I want that. Yep. Make that main event. Well, semi-main
Big men
event.
slapping meat.
Yes.
Gotta love it.
Brody King versus Tomohiro Ishii.
Big
Brody King versus Chris Dickinson versus Tomohiro Ishii.
Bumping meat. Yep.
Big men bumping meat.
Thank you so much, Big E. Another one I need to bring up. The very first Elimination Chamber match emanated from Madison Square Garden. It was indeed Survivor Series 2002 from Madison Square Garden. Fun fact, I mean, I guess because of so much of the legend of Madison Square Garden, of course, the goodwill that the WWE have with it, well, up until recently. 2 Royal Rumbles, 2 Survivor Series, 3 WrestleManias that have emanated from Madison Square Garden.
I think it has the record for the most hosting the most WrestleManias of one single venue, doesn't it?
Yep. With those 3. It's a shame that they don't go back to, I mean, I know it's because it's so successful now. It can sell out stadiums here, there, and everywhere. But I don't know. There's sort of a sentimental value, I think, to the Garden that it wouldn't be bad if they did it in such an intimate arena as the Garden for every subsequent 10, 20, 30, 40.
Well, that's what I said, because I think, like, if you're going to do the whole thing of, like, oh, it's the 10th anniversary, it's MSG the 20th MSG, I feel like you kind of set a precedent. Not that it's necessarily a good thing to do.
That is true.
But, like, I feel like, you know, if you're going to do it, you just set, like, a certain time period and then say, like, each one's going to be at this one. So, like, I don't know, if they... in the far future, you know, WrestleMania 50 at MSG, assuming MSG exists by that point.
assuming WWE exists at that point.
It's just a bunch of people wrestling in a ring in Penn Station.
Exactly. The average Friday night in New York City. No.
Yeah. It's everyone trying to get back to Long Island. Yeah, I feel like doing something like that isn't off the cards. But I feel like, you know, if you're there and you have other pay-per-views, you might as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
because like, let's be real, right? Like, as much as we're hearing people love WWE and all that, something like Clash of Champions could happen at MSG, and there'd be like pretty much no issue.
Exactly.
You know, if you want to keep like your SummerSlam, your Survivor Series, your WrestleMania, your Rumbles for like big stadiums,
or the Staples Center if you're living if they go to LA.
Yeah, if they choose it, I don't know if they will though. I feel like the Staples Center has enough stuff booked and not happening as it is.
True that. Oh, one little moment I definitely want to bring up as one of my favourite moments. MSG played host to when Kane unmasked for the first time.
Really?
Yeah, it was MSG.
Well, I'll be damned.
It surprised the hell out of me, but then I realised, oh no, yes, it did. Of course it did.
It's like a weird moment of where you think the time doesn't line up, but it does.
See, two of Kane's greatest moments happened: him unmasking and the return of Dead Man Taker.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Again, that moment of Taker making his entrance, that is a great moment in Madison Square Garden.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing I always liked about Madison Square Gardens was always that, like, obviously compared to other places, it's really small
and very intimate. So I guess it's like when it comes to like a big crowd pop, it's louder because of it being so freaking.
With stuff like with the Royal Rumble, it's just like, you know how like when they do the Rumble now, there's like, it feels like there's a year between people making their entrance and getting to the ring.
Yeah, that's why.
Meanwhile, at Madison Square Gardens, it's like you exit and you're basically in it.
Yeah, that's what I loved about like the Rumbles that they've done at the Garden, is that it feels so frenetic because because they use that short entranceway. Talking of Rumbles at the Garden, John Cena's return at the Rumble. I think purely for the crowd. For the crowd.
Right. I don't know. It's just it's something about it because it's so tightly packed together. It does give a certain atmosphere to it.
I think the visual as well of seeing no crowd barrier as when Cena made his return and him going absolutely nuts is quite a nice little sight as well.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, like that. What other one? Too Cool getting over as heck in the 2000 Royal Rumble.
Oh hell yeah!
As I say to people, right? People wish they could get a pop like Too Cool on the SummerSlam 2000 pre-show.
Yes.
like genuinely is one of the biggest pops in that night on the pre-show for like a pointless tag match that goes like 3 minutes.
Exactly.
Although I feel like that speaks more to Too Cool than anything else, but you know, it's still great.
Exactly. What do you think, guys? Is there any more moments or events that spring to mind from Madison Square Garden?
There is.
I mean, I guess for as much as it was a kind of, again, nothing pay-per-view, Survivor Series 2011, Punk beating Alberto Del Rio.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that one.
Even if the main event for that pay-per-view was something.
Do you mean Cena and The Rock versus The Awesome Truth?
Yes. Personally, my favorite was Big Show versus Mark Henry for the World Heavyweight Championship.
Oh yeah, when the ring imploded.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Which is, a thing.
Still great.
Oh, I just remembered something we talked about in our Mick Foley retrospective. Of course, the start of the rivalry between him and Orton, when Orton kicked him down the stairs.
That's right.
Yeah, it happened at the Garden. I feel like, in an extension of Mick Foley, I feel the Garden and him are so synonymous when it comes to wrestling. Because, of course, we talked about how Foley, when he was a fan, would get the train into New York, into Manhattan, to go watch the shows at the Garden. He was there for that very famous moment of Stephen Richards jumping the cage onto Don Morocco, and then him doing this hand sign to end the front row. And of course, some of the Foley's biggest moments have happened at the Garden. Royal Rumble 2000, his debut of Cactus Jack in '97 was at Madison Square Garden. That I don't care what anybody says. That match with the Rock, where the Rock and Sock connection formed to fight Evolution, that was a really good match.
No, that was a good match. It wasn't awful.
I don't know. I find if there was one wrestler that I had to say is really synonymous, minus Hogan, it's got to be Foley.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Alrighty.
Which one it was? No, I'm sorry. I'm trying to remember I'm trying to remember exactly when it was, because it's in my head and I can't remember it.
That's fine, buddy. That's fine.
No, it's gone.
It's gone. All right, we'll move on, I guess, to the final part of this whole thing. The future of the Garden in wrestling and in general. So, I'd say the one thing about the future of the Garden that kind of, we'll talk about that's a little bit upsetting, but at the same time it's understandable, is of course the Barclays Center. We'll start off with, which, from what I've heard, from all intents and purposes, is a really good arena. And when they do host shows there, from your regular televised shows to the takeovers, apparently everyone there is just as passionate about wrestling as they were in the Garden. A lot of people.
Well, because the Barclays Center is where the Nets play, Brooklyn.
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
And a lot of people are. A lot of people are just as excited for the wrestling, if not so more. Apparently, from what I've heard, the facilities are really good there as well.
Oh, isn't it? When I've had the chance to see it, when I've been watching basketball, it's great.
And I feel like the takeovers, I mean, let's be honest, the takeovers themselves have really made a name for the Barclays Center in WWE folklore.
Takeover Brooklyn lives in history now.
Gosh, yeah. I would say all the times they have been to Brooklyn have been bloody iconic, from that main event match of Sasha versus Bayley to Adam Cole debuting in NXT. It lives in, I wouldn't say infamy, but it definitely lives in the folklore of WWE now, the Barclays Center.
Oh, it does. It absolutely does.
So much to the chagrin of a lot of people who work at Madison Square Garden, because of course, now up until a certain point, they only just did house shows, and they occasionally did a televised house show at the Garden.
Yeah,
I guess it makes sense from a business standpoint, but at the same time,
that's what it is. It's as a business decision, it makes sense, because you can only get, say, 19,000, maybe 20,000 people in there.
Yeah.
So if you're doing an important show, you want to have as many people there as possible.
Exactly.
But also, I feel like I feel like it's having that place to call your home.
Exactly. I mean, so many people. I think, and I truly believe that that's their home. That's WWE's home. And I feel like it's, again, I keep saying synonymous with the brand, but it is.
You know, as much as I understand the business implications behind it, I don't know what it is, but I feel like having that space is just a good thing to have, even though, of course, like Madison Square Garden, it's used for so many different things now.
Gosh.
Yeah.
From like basketball, hockey, boxing, music, comedy events. Like, it's pretty much anything and everything. I'm pretty sure that they're probably going to be reopening circus events there soon as well.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised with that.
I just suck the Soleil's probably played there.
You know what? They most likely have. I know that Eddie Izzard sold out Madison Square Garden as well at one point. I think one of the very first comedians that sold out Madison Square Garden.
Go on, Eddie.
Hey.
New Japan Pro Wrestling again. The future of the Garden. I think, you know... I mean, it miffed off everyone in WWE, apparently, when they made that deal, but it's that thing of, the Garden execs saw...
If you don't make the deal, then they're going to make the deal with someone else, and B, you can't be mad at someone for making a deal when you don't make an offer for it.
Exactly. I mean, I think they had good business practice. They saw that New Japan was in a boom period in its next golden era. So why not put on a supercard show at the Garden?
It's just the thing of, like, if you're a company, but also think about what it is for New Japan, which is that they've been trying to slowly branch out into building their audience outside of Japan.
Exactly.
And, you know, obviously with not long after that was obviously due to be the launch of New Japan Strong, which is meant to kind of come off the back of it, really.
Yeah.
But obviously COVID happened. And then also, like, you know, Ring of Honor coming in, you know, Ring of Honor's spiritual base is Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously, you know, I say as a person who's been to both places, Philadelphia and New York, are not exactly near to each other, but, you know, it's not horrifying distance. And so, you know, if they're there and they're like, well, you know, if no one else could take this place, and, you know, for where they are is kind of like the, you know, the nominal number 4 or number 5, then why not take it?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hell, you get the thing off of saying Ring of Honor's at Madison Square Garden. It has name recognition to it.
Absolutely does it. I think you could definitely tell that a lot of that might have had to have done with All In as well. Because I don't think if All In had not happened, I don't think the Garden would have ever taken up that offer as well.
Yeah, I think it's just Madison Square Garden kind of occupies, I think, every country that has obviously some degree of big event culture has a place.
Yeah.
Because, like, I would say in modern terms now, like, basically anything I know that's important happening at, say, a concert or an event, at least in terms of London, has always been the Wembley Arena.
Yeah.
You should say it's not the stadium.
It's right next door, but it's not the stadium.
It's right next to it. It's not the stadium, though.
Nope.
You know, I guess it's Madison Square Garden is kind of like, I'm gonna say Korakuen.
No, I would agree with you on that one.
And, you know, places like that, where aside from, like, you know, your huge stadiums, I don't know what that would translate to for the US specifically, but
I guess you could say if we're going to do it in a New York context, the giant stadium would be the Tokyo Dome.
Yeah, so, like, if we say the giant stadium is the Tokyo Dome, we have Wembley, Japan has the Tokyo Dome, you know, that kind of thing.
Or it could be the MetLife Stadium, actually, when I think about it.
Yeah, like, I don't know what it works out as, but, you know, a big name recognition stadium for them to appear at. Madison Square Garden's kind of like that place that's not as big, but it still carries all the recognition and all of the prestige of playing there.
Absolutely. And of course, I guess the final thing about the future of the Garden is, well, the lease. It's coming up in about 2 years' time. Now, I have tried to scour news sites about if they renewed the lease or the execs are going to move to a new location, but from all I've seen, they're going to knock it down to renovate Penn Station.
Well, yeah, that's pretty much, as I understand it, that's what's happening. Because I believe they're taking down the Hulu Theatre, which was inside MSG.
Which played host to the very first Lions Den match, which I think at SummerSlam 98, which was a really cool visual, actually, to have that in the theatre part of MSG.
Yeah. But I believe they're taking that down to... renovate Penn Station. And then, obviously, the lease is up. Although, I think people are just determined on moving it again.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a shame. I guess this is all kind of like a business thing. Again, it always comes down... What am I saying? It always comes down to always business deals here and there and everywhere. It'd be a shame to see that building go, because I think... I don't know, from outsider's perspective, and always looking at New York, it's always been such of a landmark building. When you look at for me personally, when I look at maps of Manhattan, and especially when I played Spider-Man on stream, I was like, as soon as I saw Madison Square Garden, I was like, "Hey, look at it! It's MSG."
Well, because it's what I can say about having gone to New York, is you literally exit Penn Station and in front of you is Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, I remember when I went to New York, my mum, who had been to New York before, because my grandmother, rest in peace, Grandma, she was very disappointed that we didn't go to Madison Square Garden. It is an iconic place, and I hope they find some way to keep it going, because it's Madison Square Garden, for God's sake.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to know if, on an architectural basis, whether they'd keep a very similar design if they were to relocate to another part of New York. Or would they just go, screw tradition, and we're just going to go and make a brand new Madison Square Garden? Do you think New Yorkers would take to that kindly?
I mean, New Yorkers don't take to much kindly, so...
I mean, from my experience, as from other New Yorkers I've spoken to, that is pretty much accurate. I don't know. I think, honestly, as far as I can tell, for a lot of people, just as long as they have Madison Square Garden in some form.
Yeah. I mean, because it would be weird to see,
Because, as I understand it now, the only thing is that they're removing the theatre, and then the rest of Madison Square Garden is just going to stay there.
Yeah, because it would be weird to have Rangers games not at MSG, or it would be weird to have Knicks games somewhere else. I mean, it would be funny. It would be funny as hell if the Knicks relocated to the Barclays Centre. But
I mean, off the top of my head, then at that point, I think the Rangers would have to start relocating to Long Island, playing their games out of where the Islanders play.
The New Jersey Knicks. There you go.
Yeah, they could also go play with the Devils in Jersey.
God.
They could also do that. They could just be like New York Red Bulls, where their stadium's actually in Harrisburg, which is in New Jersey.
Yeah, I apologise to every single New Yorker who's probably gotten angry at me for saying the New Jersey Knicks.
Yeah,
let them come.
Every person who's from New Jersey that's getting progressively annoyed at me as I keep mentioning things that are named New York, they're actually in New Jersey.
Don't blame us English people. Blame Vince McMahon for making WrestleMania say it's from New York when the MetLife Stadium's in bloody Jersey. Not our fault at all. I guess, what's the best way we can end this? End this on a more positive note of saying, do you think MSG, regardless of what happens to it, will always stay in the lexicon of professional wrestling?
I mean, I think for myself, it is in the ilk of Korakuen Tokyo Dome,
Yeah.
Wembley Arena. For the UK, honestly, the biggest one normally is the NEC.
Yeah.
And you know, places like that, in terms of like places that have had impact on the history of pro wrestling and places that are important to pro wrestling, where important things have happened.
No, I'd agree on that one. Riordan, what do you think?
Difficult to say.
Oh, sorry. There you go. I just saw it. It was meant to be Wrestle Dynasty in May.
There we go.
I don't, as long as Madison Square Garden still stands, I know that there'll be companies that will flock to it, if only just to say that they did it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's like never underestimate that power.
Well, no, because it sounds stupid, but I can say this. My dad worked as a haulage driver for people who did concerts. It's like half the time people just kind of want to tick stuff off their box.
Yeah.
So like they just want to be there and be like, "Oh, we played at this festival," regardless of where it is or whatever. They just like, we just want to play it, just so we can say we have.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if for a lot of people, Madison Square Gardens is on that checklist.
Yeah. I can imagine so. Especially not only just wrestlers, but just, as you said, musicians, comedians, athletes, the whole shebang.
Shebang-a-bang.
And yeah, that is where we're going to end today's episode. All about Madison Square Garden. That's been quite a journey. I've quite enjoyed that. It's been kind of a bittersweet one, knowing that, you know, this future of the arena is so uncertain, but yet there's so much blooming great history about it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Alrighty then. So, next episode. Oh, this one's going to be a doozy, because this is going to be the debut of something we haven't done on the podcast before, isn't it, Dan?
It will be.
Oh, gosh. We are going to be doing a pay-per-view review. We are treading on the toes of CM Pulse, of John Blood and Tony Pizza Guy. As we are going to be reviewing, just quite apropos as well, Backlash 2000, with quite possibly one of the funniest and greatest main events WWF has ever put on. I'm excited for this, chaps, as I have very fond memories of this pay-per-view. What do you think, chaps? Are you excited for this?
I dread as always.
It's gonna be interesting getting into the pay-per-view reviews and hearing what you guys have to say about certain things, because let's just say we're starting strong.
We're starting strong
before we get worse.
Oh, trust me, I'm looking forward to hearing about Riordan's reaction to Big Show on this pay-per-view.
It's the whole thing I said, and when we talk. So for everyone listening, when we already talked about this, I pitched the idea of having listeners vote in and tell us what they wanted us to review, and to which I was roundly rejected.
I remember that vividly, actually. Maybe in the future. Now you've put it out there in the ether.
Well,
we're going to have to say
one of the answers I got was they're just gonna vote for December to dismember. Yeah, which is correct. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for saving us from that, Riordan.
You're welcome.
Alright then, that's all for next week. But until then, I have been Sam. This has been Dan and Riordan, and you've been listening to the Sweet Chinwag podcast. As ever, we'll see you on the next one. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.